Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Sabrina Welch, and I'm the founder of Mindtricks, the Magic of Neuroscience, which is running this podcast series interviewing the world of academia across the 50 states to analyze the impacts of education around the country from recent governmental reforms. Today, we have Jeremiah, which is a very involved and government student from Alabama. We'll be having a wonderful discussion with him to talk about the changes in education since the dismantling of the Department of Education, and of course, with recent grant defunding as well. So, without further ado, Jeremiah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. It's so wonderful to be here. I love the initiative that you guys are taking and the approach that you're taking on this issue, due to it being a very serious issue, especially since the fact that most of us are young adults, and it's really going to affect us in the future with the way that we live, our college decisions, and everything moving forward. But to start off, my name is Jeremiah Treece. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, the birthplace of the Civil Rights Movement. I go to Booker T. Washington Magnet Performing Arts High School here in Montgomery, which is a performing arts high school. So a lot of the people here, a lot of people that go to my school, they do different arts. They do piano, they do theater, they do choir. I'm one of the weird ones. I decided to take law at the performing arts school. So I intern with the federal defenders program, which is the basically like public defenders, but I do it on a federal level. I'm able to work with attorneys, investigators, judges, a lot of different people just on cases and things that are going on in the state of Alabama. I'm also the former youth chief justice for the state of Alabama, which means that I was voted in by students from all over the state of Alabama to represent Alabama as their youth chief justice, serving for mock trials and youth legislature, doing Supreme Court, doing mock Supreme Court and mock, yeah, legislation and mock trials and all that nature. So, yeah, I'm pretty involved. I do a lot within the city and within the state.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It's wonderful to have you. I was so impressed when I saw you on the website of all the work that you do in government, and especially the work that you've done as well with the flag as well. That was very, very cool. So, would you like to get into the questions?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, sounds perfect. Without further ado, the first question is, how do you think the dismantling of the Department of Education has shifted the balance of power between federal, state, and local governments in education policy?
This is a really good question because I think this is one of the biggest topics with the dismantling of the Department of Education. Um, so basically, since the federal government is saying that they want to step out of education, they want to leave that up to the states with a lot of other things as well. That is basically saying that states gain more authority and control over what's going on now. So the states are able to choose their own education policies, they're able to choose their own curriculum, but most importantly, they're able to choose their own funding, which kind of gets tricky due to the fact that a lot of states don't have a whole lot of funding in general. I know that's one of the issues that we have right here in Alabama, which is funding because we don't have a lot of it. Um, One of the biggest ways that we make money at Alabama, our biggest revenue sources are our universities. The University of Alabama and Auburn University. A lot of people know them for their sports programs. Everybody loves Auburn football and Alabama football here in Alabama. Those are like two of the biggest teams in the nation. But outside of football, both of those schools are really big for research as well in Alabama. And when it comes down to research and things like that, um, they get funding from the federal level to do that research. So without that funding, a lot of the research and a lot of the technology that goes into doing that research is going to plummet for Alabama. So it's a lot more that goes into it. But to answer the question simply, states gain a lot more authority over everything that's going on. So that's going to affect a lot of different people due to it all depends on what that state feels is important to them. And with Alabama being a more, uh, what's the word? We're not a liberal state. We're more of a conservative state. Uh, we're already falling into the trap of a lot of things that are going on, such as DEI and think, well, I'm going to say the words diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. We're falling into those traps where a lot of groups of people and a lot of margins of people are being left out due to the fact that it's becoming a thing. I said it in one of my speeches that I just did. It's seeming like a lot of people are shifting away from the fact that education should be for everyone and education should be simply for the wealthy. And that's becoming a problem because if education is simply for the wealthy, that makes it seem as if the rest of the economy is only made up for war and trade schools. And I feel like education should be something that everyone is able to get. And that also goes back to the question at hand, due to the fact of every state is going to be able to control their own curriculums, which means that they're going to be different across the nation, which means that everything changes because the Department of Education also upholds the criteria, or they get to say, hey, this is the curriculum, this is what we set the bar for. But if that's gone, then no state has a bar to be set. So a lot comes to play. I'm gonna stop talking so we can get to the next question and we can dive more in.
That was a very powerful response, especially your messages that education is absolutely vital to be accessible to all. And that is something that is so deeply important, which is such a great point. The fact that with a lack of setting a standard, there's a lot of room for states to be able to make their own decisions, which can either be good or sometimes lead to a big disparity. So, for the next question, in what ways have schools been impacted by the loss of federal oversight and funding? I know that you went a lot into that with your first answer, but if you get a deeper dive into your responses.
I go to a Title I school. Title I school is a school that basically says that a lot of the students here don't have a big income. We're not a private school, even though we're considered a magnet school. We're still a traditional school. We just have a magnet program. So, with that being said, that funding, that Title I funding kind of helps our school a lot. It's able to, I always like to bring up the picture of equality versus equity, where I know sometimes there's this picture of, it's like three walls. And then you have one wall, this already tall guy. He's pretty tall. He can see over the wall clearly, but they're giving everybody the same amount of steps. So it's another two walls. Of one guy, he's kind of medium height and he can barely see. And then you have this shorter guy who can't see anything, even though they all have one step. But the difference is equity, which is you're giving the blocks to the people that need it most. And that's what that Title I funding really does. It kind of helps the children that need it most. So the children that are in places like Montgomery, Alabama, that don't have Chromebooks or don't have phones or don't have tablets or anything to work on, that funding kind of helps bring back and be like, hey, well, we can get those people we can get them a computer, we can get them Wi-Fi, we can get them what they need to succeed. And without that funding, a lot of schools are going to slowly start going downhill because not just that, but teachers as well. Teachers go through trainings to make sure that they stay updated on everything that they need to know to continue teaching and to make sure that they're still teaching the correct information, but also staying up to date with what's going on. And that's most likely going to get cut down a lot as well. And I know specifically in Alabama, we got a teacher shortage. But without the funds, that shortage might get a lot bigger as well. So it's a lot looking at when it comes to funding for schools. Um, so right now we really just have to pray that the people that we're electing, that's why I say every election counts. Due to the fact that the people that we're electing, not just in the state of Alabama, but the state of Massachusetts, the state of uh, Louisiana, the state of Mississippi, the state of Texas, the state of Georgia, every single place where we're electing elected officials, we have to make sure that those are the people that they're really representing us as a whole.
Definitely, that is so true. Going on off of what you've been saying too about how there's a big disparity in like Title I funding and how that has affected schools, such as in your state, would you be able to talk about how do you think the dismantling of the Department of Education has widened the education gap between low income and high income communities?
Okay. This year I'm a senior at Booker T. Washington, so this is my year to apply for different colleges. I applied for Georgetown University in Washington. I won't be going to Georgetown University, but when I was doing the application process, they have part that's called the alumni interviews. I was actually grateful enough to get active duty Air Force airman. Yeah, I was able to get an active duty Air Force airman. He went to Georgetown University, then he became a teacher in Huntsville. I want to say either Huntsville or Tuscaloosa, right here in Alabama. That's where it's colleges in both of those areas. But one thing that he was able to say is in those areas, Alabama is a very, uh, like I said, it's a very controversial area due to the fact that we have a lot of different history. And a lot of our history goes back to civil rights, Confederacy, slavery. It goes way back, which is why I encourage anybody to go to the Equal Justice Initiative here in Montgomery. If you ever have time or if you have the money to come down and visit, go check it out. But going back to the story, basically what he was telling me is there's two different high schools. I'm gonna say Tuscaloosa. It's two different high schools in Tuscaloosa. One of those high schools is in an area where it's more high income, and then there's another high school where in that not too far away, it's probably like 15 minutes away, but it's in an area where it's more low income. The difference between those high schools is one of those high schools had better equipment, they had better books, they had better technology, uh, they had better resources, they had a lot more AP classes, they had a lot more dual enrollment classes, and the other school didn't have any of that. So at first, he was teaching at the low income school. When he started there, he was automatically able to realize what was going on. And that ended up shifting. And on a federal level, they were able to see what was going on due to the complaints and everything that was happening. So, what the federal government did, the Department of Education, they decided to go and send out attorneys to the schools once or twice a year. They go to the schools and they check out this school. They say, hey, okay, well, this school has three AP classes. They have all this technology and they have these kinds of books. They go to the other school. Okay, why does this school don't have not one AP class? They don't have the same technology and they don't have the same books. What we're going to do is we're going to give this school the same thing that this school has to make sure that they're on an equal playing field. That's the picture of what's going to be going on in the world. Just because two schools are right down the street from each other, you're still going to be able to see the disparities in both of them. Because even though one school they are a lot more privileged, so they do have a lot more money, they do have a lot more resources, they have a lot more endowment funds, or we like to say the PPSA is a lot more helpful there compared to another family that is working just as hard to get everything that they need done.
Thank you so much for that response. Anushree has a question, so would you like to ask?
Yeah, I do. So you mentioned you go to a Title 1 school right now. So I wanted to ask if it's not too personal, how has the cutting of grants and such affected you personally or your school personally?
I don't think it's hit yet. One thing that everybody's looking at is we have to look at what's moving forward. I'll say the biggest thing that I've been affected by with all of this is the college decision process. Trying to pick a school is rough in itself. And especially for seniors moving, trying to transition into that college experience, a lot of us are very dependent on the fast food. We're dependent on, you know what I'm saying, the resources that our colleges have. We want to know what are the colleges having now? What are they going to be able to offer us? And a lot of us don't want to be in debt. I know that was my biggest thing. I was like, I do not want to be in debt for the rest of my life. I have to go to law school. It's too much. I can't do this. So like I said, with that being said, I think that's my biggest concern. So we're trying to I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody at my school, no matter if it's teachers, students, anybody. Research, research, research. I'll go ahead and tell you guys the school that I'll most likely be attending will be Berea College in Berea, Kentucky. Super small cool school. A lot of people actually don't know about it, but it's actually the first school to ever be co-educational and integrated. Meaning to simplify, they didn't just allow black and white people to come together. They also allowed men and women as well, because at that time women weren't allowed to have educations either. So that's where I'll be attending. But the biggest part of that school is they have a no tuition promise, meaning that every single person that comes to the school does not have to worry about tuition. Tuition is one of the biggest parts of college. Like everybody knows You're gonna pay for room and board, you're gonna pay for everything else, but you don't have to pay for tuition, which is most of the time that's that $60,000 out of the 80,000 that you're gonna have to pay. So that helps a lot. And they do that due to the fact that they know for a fact that that disproportionately disadvantages low income families. So that's their biggest goal, trying to give back to the community. And on top of that, they're ranked like top 40 for liberal arts programs in the nation. So on top of having a good quality education, it's an affordable education as well. So one thing I'll continue to tell people is make sure you do your research on these colleges, on these institutions, on whatever you want to do moving forward, because every second is super valuable. But going back to my school, we're just watching right now, trying to see how will it affect us. We're trying to see how far they're going to take it, and what are some of the things that are going to happen. Um, we can't do anything but wait, really, honestly, right now.
Yeah, and that's the same case with us in Massachusetts too, because due to the dismantling of the Department of Education, I should want to say, we lost, I think, at least $1 billion in funding for mental health resources, counseling.
Everybody has been affected by diversity, equity, and inclusion at some point, as long as everybody has also been affected by some type of federal funding at some point as well. So little things like that, like I said, I feel like right now we're in the era where the government, certain people in government are choosing finances over humanity. And with that comes us. It comes people like you. It comes people like the both of you. It comes people like me that have to stand up for our future due to the fact that we're going to be the ones that have to take over this country next. They're going to pass all these problems right on down to us, and we're going to have to look at it and say, where do we go forward? What do we need to do? So that's why I'm super grateful. That's why when as soon as I seen the message, I was like, oh yeah, I have no issue jumping in and doing it due to the
Thank you.
fact of this is what we need. We have to have these conversations, even if it is conversations where it's slightly uncomfortable, because that's how we're going to grow moving forward.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. I know our governor released a statement, Maura Healey said of what Nursery was talking about, of the
Mhm.
thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've been losing in grant funding. Even though it's an uncomfortable conversation, it's so important to happen, especially when in government, the utmost priority should be our community and should be the people, because that is what government is supposed to be, is protecting the people. So that is definitely such a great point. Going into what you said as well about how they're of kind of what we were talking about with states. Without federal guidance, how do you think states have a more diverse type of education curriculum? I know before there's more of a regulations, but now I know talking to my teachers, they said that it's completely up to the states to decide their curriculum. So how do you think that this has affected inconsistency in what students learn across states?
Okay. Uh, This is a really good question due to the fact that I feel like if this is to continue, I pray it doesn't, but if this is to continue, I feel like the states are going to the country is going to be able to see the difference in beliefs between the states, because that's what they want. They're asking for states to, you know what I'm saying, take control, and states be in control of their own unions, basically. So there are a lot more liberal states and there are a lot more conservative states. With that being said, it seems like a lot more of the conservative states, like Alabama, are at the bottom of the education threshold compared to other conservatives, compared to more liberal states like California, who are on the higher end of that same scale. Uh, making it where making it to where it's not equal, but making it to where every state is able to choose their own curriculums, their own plans, their own patterns. Um, it's tricky due to the fact that most of the states believe different things depending on their history. And like I said, Alabama, even though we're at a place where you can tell the state is attempting to move forward somehow, uh, we haven't got that far. We're still we're still having the same conversations with the same people. A lot of the older people in politics are still running the politics in Alabama. They're still having their conservative views um, pour out on the whole state of Alabama in general. Our generation is a lot more inclusive. We're a lot more diverse, and we care about our mental health and the people around us mental health as well. Mental health is a big thing in our generation, which may not have been as important for prior generations. We can use we can use the past generations for wisdom, and we can use their resilience, we can use their leadership, and we can use that to grow. But at the same time, it's our time. We have to bring our new ideas, our new technology, and the new ways that we do things to bring a light to what's going on the situations that we care most about. So, circling back to the question at hand, we're going to be able to see a lot of the battles that are facing between the different states when it comes down to education, because a lot of us aren't going to have the same education. The education that I have isn't the same education my 3-year-old brother is going to have. And it sucks to say that, but as a big brother, I'm going to make sure I do my part in educating him on the things that he's missing out on, to make sure that he knows the real history, he knows what's really going on, and hopefully he'll be just as, well, I know for a fact he'll definitely be just as powerful as me with using his voice and his wisdom and the things that he's good at to go and fight that battle as well.
That is so powerful, of course. Definitely, that's beautiful. I really liked what you said about how the youth needs to be the change that we wish to see. So, what is some advice you would give to youth to inspire them or motivate them to show them that their voice is just as important and just as something that should be heard at the political table?
I feel like anything that you feel is important to you, you have to go for it. Uh, One thing that I'm still learning, because at the end of the day, no matter how well I might speak or the things I might say might sound good, I'm still learning because I'm a teenager as well. One of the
Absolutely.
things that I am learning is the fact of when things happen, we have to learn how to do things the correct way. Sometimes I feel like with the era of social media and the era of technology and everything, a lot of us are so quick to complain about things, but we don't know that we can actually go and create change ourselves. That's how my whole campaign with the City of Montgomery flag thing came about. I seen the flag, and one of my teachers told me, "Hey, you can change this." So instead of going and just complaining about it and saying, "Hey, we got this flag, we need to be changed," we just need to change it. I went out and made the initiative to change it. Uh, there's a plan for every single one of us in our lives. It's all about the steps that you take to pursue the dreams that you want to chase and the things that you want to accomplish. Uh, I'm a believer in the Christian faith, so one of the things that I always go back to is the Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11, where it says that, for I know the plans that I have for you. With that being said, everything is already there. We just have to go and fight the fight, do what we have to do. We have to put in the work. Without faith, without works is nothing. That's what's basically dead. That's another Bible verse. So with that being said, we have to go out and we have to start using our voices, start using the technology, start using the things around us to make the change that we want to see. We can't change anything if we're just complaining about it from our houses. Until I got out there and made the petition and started asking people, hey, sign this. This is what this is about. This is what I'm trying to do. That's when the mayor of Montgomery came and was like, hey, I like that. Keep going. That's when the city council members came together and was like, hey, bring him up. We actually want to get this done. That's why now I'm working with the Montgomery City Council multiple times throughout the day to get this done, because I seen it, they seen it. They just I'm not gonna say they didn't feel like it was as important, But sometimes it takes somebody else to point it out and really say, hey, we need this done now. Because now, since I'm working with them, they're able to tell me, oh, yeah, we wanted to change that a long time ago, but we just didn't get to it. It's just, we just pushed it to the side. But now, since you have somebody that's 17 years old coming to complain about it in front of everybody, and I have the signatures behind me, I took the approach that a lot of older people, that's the same approach that they went through. These are the same things that they went through in the civil rights movement to come and make the changes they wanted to see. They started off with petitions, going around with regular paper, getting people to sign it. I only had 2,000. They had 10,000. And mine was online. So I feel like the biggest thing is with us, we have to learn, stop complaining all the time and go, let's get in the field. We got to go, let's go see what's really out there.
Absolutely, that is so powerful, and I agree with that 110%. That change only starts when you actually act on it, and that is something that I believe everyone can learn from, like youth, adults, everyone, is that we all have the power to initiate what we want to see in the world. So, thank you for that inspiring message. Going on to the next question, Anushi, also, do you have any questions too? Feel free to like jump in. Um,
Well, I mean, I think I kind of had one. So I know for your case, you were fortunate to have the city council listen to you. What would you advise to youth who maybe don't have such supportive council members? Like perhaps that council didn't want to hear them out or something. What would your advice be to them?
Make them listen. The point of a city council, those are elected officials by us. Those people have those jobs because of the voters that put them in those positions. Um, in my opinion, in the most respectful way possible, I love all my city council members, but their jobs are for the people. Their jobs are not to be there for status or to say what they want and don't want to hear. It's about the concerns of us addressing them and making the pivots that should be made to address those concerns. So, one thing I'll say is there's a lot of power within numbers. Petitions work. They matter. Go ahead and go start making those change. Contact your city council members. It doesn't have to be for your one district. You can contact another one. You can contact two more. Whichever one, do research. See, okay, well, I seen this one created an ordinance that was about psychology. If that's what your thing is and that's what you're like, I want to speak on them because I feel like this is something that's really, really important to me. Do your research. It's important to somebody else as well. Like I said, those people are put on that panel or behind those seats to serve us. They're there as community advocates. They're there to say, okay, well, my district, this is the place that I represent. I represent District 12. So District 12 is, you know what I'm saying, that's the people that I'm going to advocate for. I'm going to try to make sure I get the funds to District 12. I'm going to make sure I try to clean it up. I'm going to try to make sure my community feels good within them. It's a experience. They're there for us. So go to the city council meetings, sit in there. You ain't got to sit there all day, but you can go sit in, talk to them afterwards. Like I said, these are regular people. You should be able to talk to them afterwards. I got the attention of the mayor through Facebook. The city of Montgomery mayor, I tagged him. When I posted the petition, I was like, and we need to tell at Stephen Reed that we want to get a new flag. And he came under it and he was like, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. The city of Montgomery is definitely backing you on your initiative. And I was like, wait, that's the mayor. Like, oh, okay, wait, okay, that's pretty cool. So, but after the fact, now once you do things, I think you start putting your face in front of these people, they're not going to forget you. Now, that's the reason I was able to speak at the 60th anniversary of the bridge crossing and everything, because specifically, Mayor Reed was the one that asked for me to speak. He wanted me there. It's like he knew, okay, we need somebody that's going to showcase that the youth is ready for the change. And especially with a big event like that, he wanted somebody to speak. He wanted somebody to come out and bring that youthful energy and also get the youth involved. So that's when he was like, Jeremiah, they called me like 2 days before the event. and was like, "Hey, can you speak this and third, whatever, whatever?" And we all just made it work because I was in town and everything just fell in place. But like I said, get in front of their faces. Tell them what they might not want to hear. I see it's a video that always circulates of the young lady. She went to one of the meetings and she asked them, she was like, "Are you smart?" Because she goes to a smart people's school. Write that stuff down. Go and tell them how you truly feel. Go to the town hall meetings. Go and have those conversations because that's what they need to hear. They need to hear what we feel. Because same thing, I told them right in front of them, we're going to be the ones taking over. We're going to be in your seats. So I think you need to start listening, to us now.
Absolutely.
It was very insightful.
Like, you're such a powerful speaker. Yeah, I'm
The
sure
way
this.
you ended that was really powerful too. Like the fact that we're gonna take their place, so they better start listening to us now. That really hit home. That was a good line.
Yeah, that could be like an essay. Yeah, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
totally
Love
speaking.
that.
Yeah. Okay. So another question, kind of getting into like the later questions. Um, Okay, this is actually my favorite question that I sent over to you because it's kind of thinking of a future direction. And
Mhm.
it's also, of course, with the whole theme of you saying like we shouldn't just say like that there is a problem. We should also redesign a new future to look forward to. Of course, I think that's so important as well, especially with using our voices, showing that we have solutions in mind that we could propose to government. I think that's really important as well too, to show that we have identified this problem. Of course, we know that the Department of Education being dismantled has significantly impacted us across the nation. And now, what is our solution? So a little question for you is if you could redesign a national approach to education post dismantling, what would it look like? And this could include bringing back the Department of Education. This could be going past that. Just what is your solution to this dilemma?
Uh, I feel like I read this question and I felt like this was one of the hardest questions, due to the fact of I'm not gonna say all of those people, but some of the people that are in the seats in Congress and in those legislative powers and in our executive branch and the judicial branch have did a lot of work to get there. Some of them have not. So thinking about me being my 18-year-old brain, well, fresh 18-year-old brain, what do I feel like I would change or how would I make an education system? One, the first thing I would do is, of course, bring back the Department of Education. I feel like we need to, of course, bring back the Department of Education. That's the first step. After that, teachers. Educators are the biggest part of the education system. They're also the part that is looked down on the most. I don't feel like teachers get adequate funding. I don't feel like they're getting paid as much as they should. I feel like teachers aren't appreciated as much as they should be. Teachers go through a lot within schools, outside of schools, grading work. They put so much time into their jobs. And like I said, I don't feel like they get half of the recognition that they should. So one of the biggest things I would do is, you know what I'm saying, increase that teacher salary. Let's start giving funding to the states for teachers. On top of that, we have to bring back the Title I funding. We have to bring back the funding for the schools to include equity. Anytime you're gonna hear me speak, anytime I say anything, equity is gonna be a huge part of that. Uh, Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That equity word stands out to me the most because just like the picture I gave you earlier, equality is good, but sometimes equality isn't what's needed. So I don't know. I can't even give you a full breakdown of like, oh, this is what I would do. I would do this here and put this person in charge. And I can't do all of that due to the fact that I feel like that would have to be years of research. That'll have to be a lot of teamwork. And I feel like the efforts of a lot of people from all around the world would have to be implemented. I feel like, just like we said, Massachusetts has an amazing education program. But Alabama has a lot of good history down here that should be implemented within that education program. It's a lot of things and a lot of people that are unknown that should be known. or a lot of people that I feel like aren't getting the recognition, not just like one person, but different groups of people. I feel like we really need to go back and let's speak on the indigenous people. Let's speak on the people whose land we're living on. Let's speak on the let's just speak on different parts of people from all over the world. Because in education, we don't just need to study the basics, but I think we need to go back to studying humanity, peace, social justice, and we need to start studying how important it is for humanity in the world. Because I think somewhere throughout the years, that part has gotten lost. The words humanity have become something that's it's like you barely hear it. And a lot of the world has become really inhumane. And I think that's one of the biggest issues because I was saying this earlier in another interview. Uh, we have to stop being selfish and start being more selfless, not just within our communities, not just within schools, but that's within the world overall. A lot of the times we look at certain situations and we might prejudge them. I had blue hair for the longest. It was a lot of situations that I walked into, and a lot of people did not take me serious. I worked inside of the state courthouses in Alabama, and judges wouldn't take me serious. I've been profiled outside of courtrooms thinking I'm standing around trying to sneak in or something. All types of things just due to the fact of the hair color that was on my head. So I feel like we definitely have to start getting active, and it's going to take a lot of us to come in and make the changes that we want to see. So, if we want to say we want to bring back the Department of Education and we want to make it an education system that's good for everybody, we're going to need everybody's input. We're going to need everybody's help. We're going to need you to come in. Like I said, let's get these teachers. Let's go in and get some of these teacher certifications, some of these teacher degrees, and let's start making these educators one of our biggest priorities. Let's make sure that they know that they're loved, they're seen, and we're super grateful for them and what they're doing for the children of the future.
Definitely. I agree a lot with your point about how youth has a lot of power just because, especially with thinking about youth, youth is the future. So as we shift into election seasons in the future as well, the things that we're influencing, the things that we're bringing to the table will be in the voting category for a lot of upcoming elections, especially you high schoolers out there watching. You will be very relevant to upcoming elections and the number one thing I can say to kind of bouncing off of what you said is use your voice and vote. That is something that's so important, especially because those people are going to be people advocating for you. And the people advocating for you, you want them to be having your best intentions.
We have to go and do research and go in these elections knowing what we're voting for. On top of being registered to vote, on top of getting out there voting, we have to make sure we do our part in researching what's going on, who's on the ballot, why are these people important, and how will they make the change that will be positive for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially with that point too, is that being educated about the people on the ballot is so important. As my last kind of remark or my last question for today, I think especially as a whole point of uplifting youth voices, if we could pretend that like the most important people of government was here today. And instead of me doing the interview or instead of like us kind of as fellow youth hearing our discussion together, if everyone that was important in decision making for government was here in this room right now and they were asking you questions about this, what would you want to say to them?
One thing that I would tell elected officials and people around are work with us. The world is hard in itself. Everybody has challenges that they're facing. Everybody has things that are going on in their life. So, not just work with us, but can we bring more compassion to the world? Can we bring more empathy? Can we bring more love into the world, into humanity? A lot of that is escaping due to the fact that right now it seems like we're using humans as money. We're becoming monetary, and every person that is born is seen as another statistic. We don't need statistics right now. At this current moment, we need the love, we need the embrace, we need the compassion, we need happiness, we need the smiles. We need our elected officials to protect us as people, as students, as growing individuals, because the world just came out of a lot. We just came out of COVID, the era of George Floyd. We just came out of, we're still going through the era of, you know what I'm saying, humanity and the inhumaneness of people that have been treated any kind of way. And we're leaving out of a situation that has been rough. We went through some tough times. So now, since everything is starting to become normal again, quotations on normal, uh it seems like now the only thing that we're worried about is the finances. We have to start looking and supporting the people. I'm here because this conversation matters to me. Some of them are there because the status of their position matters to them. We can't let roles or titles or things of that nature get in the way of the work that needs to be done within this country and within the world. So we have to bring back that love, that compassion, that empathy, that equity, that diversity, that inclusion. We want to hear everybody's stories, because everybody's story, bringing them together, is going to play a crucial part in moving forward. Everyone has a story. Everyone has went through something. So I guess that's it. That's really all I would express to them. The same thing I would express to anybody else. Love your neighbor, love the people around you, love your family, no matter how much they might get on your nerves, or how much you might get aggravated, or how much you might disagree. The people around us matter. The way that they feel matter. Their emotions matter. Uh, and we have to start talking about things like that.
Absolutely. I agree so much about the compassion part. So thank you so much, Jeremiah. This was an absolutely incredible interview. You're so insightful, so incredibly powerful with your words. Like I said throughout the interview, I'm genuinely just truly in awe of your eloquence and super just great messages as well. I really hope, I'm not sure who's going to see this interview, of course, this is our first one, but I really hope that someone will see the messages that you've perpetuated, especially with so many things that you've said. I believe so much of our officials could benefit from hearing, especially with the compassion and the love and seeing us as people to work with, the people of our community, the people that they represent, is someone to consider. So thank you so much again. It was incredible to have you.
Thank you
Um,
guys so much for having me. If there's anybody that is watching the interview that feels like they might, you know what I'm saying, want to reach out or anything, like I said, my name is Jeremiah Treece, Treece. You can contact me on all social media platforms where I'll be there. I'll be ready to talk. Most of the time, if I see it in my request, you can ask Sabrina, I'll answer.
yeah, he answers. Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, thank y'all so much for the interview. Thank you so much for all the work that you guys are bringing to the table. It is places like this and conversations like this that shape the future and that shape the minds of other people. Because there's going to be somebody that watches this and is like, dang, that was good. I love the way that they were able to talk about this, and I love the way they were able to educate me on this. So now I feel obligated to go and say something about this, this, and this. So thank y'all so much for allowing me to be here and giving me this opportunity. And if y'all need anything else, just let me know.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.